right, guys, hopefully this works tonight.
We are live. We are live now.
All right.
Sweet.
You did it.
That's our best one yet.
I know.
All right.
It's our Friday night edition of This Fan's View with Flyers great Brian Propp. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, how you doing today? You have to be safe, but we've been out. I've been in the house for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're all practicing that. So hopefully we can all get through this together. Lauren, we got a bunch of people on.
Yep, they are starting to pop up now.
Yeah. We also need to introduce Jack Broder, who's joined us tonight. He's sorry.
What happened?
Sue over here forgot to turn her phone down. Technical difficulties.
Oh.
So anyway, let's welcome Jack Broder to the show. He is an exclusive collector of Brian Propp's memorabilia. Jack, just throw a number out there. How many items, including the cards?
Including the cards, probably around 600.
Wow. Wow. Pretty impressive, right, Brian?
Yeah, it's really impressive. Like I see him all the time, and he stops at all my events that I go to, and I love having him and his family there too.
Very cool. Very cool. How about you, Mario? Other than the jersey hanging up, you got anything else that you can?
That's really all I need.
That's it, right?
True.
That's That's from the PJ show, right?
That is from the PJ show. My mom won it and didn't know what to do with it.
So there you
She
go.
gave it to me.
Sweet.
That's
So
great.
she knew what to do with it.
So let's bring in our version of Mr. Hockey into the show. It's a joke. It's an inside joke. Inside, outside.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. As long as we don't call you Bill Mathis.
There you go.
But Brian, thanks for taking the time out to join us. So other than hanging out in the house for 2 weeks, what else you been doing?
Well, there's a lot of follow-up stuff that I have to do. Like I just redid my Brian Propp website, and so that it's everything's changed, and so it all looks really new. And so people want to click on that. You know, they can always see the things that I'm doing and check all the things that I have going on. There's not too much this week because everything's been canceled or postponed. But other than that, like, you know, I'm looking forward to when I do my golf tournaments. You know, I postponed a couple celebrity hockey events, and maybe we'll do those in September, hopefully. And the golf and everything. So, you know, it's tough, but you know, you have to be safe. You might take a couple of weeks or months, and then we have to see how it goes from there.
So what's the website that people can go to?
It's brianpropp.com.
Okay, so brianpropp.com, and is it up and running?
Yeah, it's just everything is. If you want to check it up, it's all ready right there. And also, I just want to mention that our wolfcre.com website is really good. We have a lot of good information about like the COVID that's going on, all the things that have been going on. We have another division of Wolf for loans and things like that. So a lot of good information with that too.
So that's the company that you work directly with, correct?
Yeah, with Jason Wolf with Wolf Commercial Real Estate in New Jersey and Philadelphia, but we can work all over the U.S.
Excellent. And we'll revisit this towards the end of the show, so you can get that information out to people listening, and Lauren will include that on our site as well. Lauren, any early questions?
Not right now. People are just excited for the show tonight. So no, we just got everybody tuning in. Mark, Steve Harris, Joe Stinger, all the good ones.
All the normal cast of characters, huh?
Yep. But everybody's joining.
How about Dolly? Did Dolly find her way onto the page?
I think she has. So I think we're good there. But
Mario?
does have an
you
early
want to make sure
question.
mom, Mario, you want to make sure mom's on? You're
He's muted. But Joe Stinger does have a question.
Sorry about that.
He's wondering who Brian's best line mate was.
there you go. Question number one. Brian, did you hear that?
Yeah. So what teams? Like I had the teams that I played with. Like when I played for the Melville Millionaires when I was 15 in Saskatchewan, my best line mate was Kelly Dean, and Barry Dean was playing for the Flyers at that time. And then I played for the Brandon Wheat Kings. I was there with Brad McCrimmon and Ray Allison for 3 years. And then I started with the Flyers. And so, it was good for me to start with Clarke and Leach. And then we switched to Holmgren and Rat. But my favorite player was Mark Howe.
Oh, very good. Very good. I know somebody's looking for a Mark House stick.
Yeah, they're tough to find now because they're broken or the steel, they're wood.
Yep.
Along with a few others. What was the list I saw? Hal, Marsh. What was the other one?
Doug
Crossman.
Yeah. Yeah, and that Game 6 from 1987, that playoff series.
What was that? Repeat that again.
That'll be every player from the Flyers who played in that 1987 playoff series against the Oilers.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay. That'll complete the whole team.
The whole team. Yep.
Wow. That's impressive. That's
Yeah,
impressive. Lauren, you got some more questions, I hear?
Yeah, Brian Brown is wondering, Brian, what your favorite moment in game as a player has been.
So for me, for the Flyers, it was Game 6. It was Game 5 against Edmonton. Before we forced the Game 7. My Game 5 in Edmonton, I had 4 assists, and we won 4-3 to force the Game 6. And then from there, then I scored late in the game in the third period in Game 6 to tie it, and then J.J. Denia scored to force the Game 7. But I remember the Game 5 better because I had 4 assists, and then we still had a chance to win a cup.
Nice. Good stuff. Dad, what do you got on that list? I've seen it.
I got a lot of time. Who's got a question? Chris? Chris has a question about getting traded to Boston.
What was your first thoughts about getting traded to Boston and what's in Minnesota?
So at that time, I was 11 years with the Flyers. I just I came back from an injury where my hand was I had the artery taken out of my hand, and so I missed 25 games, and it was at the end of the season, and so I decided that I just do as well as I can, and then at that time Boston traded Dave Poulin in January. And they were number 1 in the year at that time, and so I was very happy that Bob Clarke gave me a chance to win with Boston. So I was only there for a month, and then I stayed with another player in Malden, and then I was there, went to the finals, and then I went back to Philadelphia after that, and then Clarke got fired, and he went to Minnesota. And I was a free agent, and so he brought me to Minnesota for 3 years, which I'm very thankful for that. And in Boston, Harry didn't really want to sign it again, and we wanted more money, and so then I just went to Minnesota after that. But I love that Bob Clarke has been so good to me over the years. I played with him for 5 years, and then he was a GM for a few years. And then when he got fired, he took me to Minnesota, and that was really, really good for me because we had a chance to win at that time too.
Very cool. So on the lines of the Flyers, and you're one of the guys that has stayed in the area, you live in the area, you still work for the Flyers. What is it that you can share with us that brings these guys so close together and wanting to still live in the area even after hockey? You know, they're just that group is large. There's a lot of ex-players, you know, that still stay in the area. What is it?
Well, it started when they won a couple Stanley Cups in the 70s, 74 and 75. So they, at that time they had all Canadian team, which was it was awesome, and then now it's a lot different. But they learned from there that they stayed in this area. Because what are you going to do in Saskatchewan? There's nothing to do in Saskatchewan, So and it's such a good place to live. It's close to New York. It's up on the East Coast, and there's the shore properties, and so like there's a lot to do there too. But I think just because I was there for 11 years, I loved being there all the time, and I knew that I was always going to be back. And the Flyers alumni has done a wonderful job with promoting a lot of different things. I'm on the board of the Flyers alumni with their golf and their hockey and all their other events. And so I love doing that. And we run a couple tournaments, like we have the golf tournament in June. I don't know if that's still going to go on, but we had 50 alumni that take part in that. And from all these guys living in the area and working for the team, like there's a lot of coaches and broadcasters that are still here, but it's so nice. And I just moved to Haddonfield, and I'm right next to Hartnell and Timonau right now.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. You mentioned, some guys that just recently retired: Scott Hartnell, Danny Briere, Kimmo Timonen. I mean, there's more. More guys. They didn't win a cup. I mean, a lot of good teams, but here they are staying in the area.
Well, I think that Hartnell has a young child, and Timonau has like 3 children, but they're in children at school, so that's where if they went to Sweden or Finland, it doesn't help them, but they love the area. The schools are outstanding, and they have to work at home now, but they'll do their work doing that. But it's so nice to have the people giving back and doing some work with the Flyers. I mean, Hartnell, he does some broadcasting for one of the TV stations in New Jersey, and he does a good job with that. But, after they retire, you don't know what to do. And so the broadcasting has been really good for all of these guys. I did the radio for 9 years, every game for when I was with the Flyers from 2000 to 2009. And then I worked to the judge group for 5 years in Conshohocken. And then I've been here with the Wolf Commercial Real Estate the last 5.5 years. So it's, but I'm always doing some other things to help. Like we've been doing our September celebrity hockey event the 4 years. Last year we raised $80,000 for the game for the 6 charities that supported us. And so we probably have September another one. Hopefully we'll make another 80,000 if we can still play hockey, but it's all really good. And at Wolf, we've been really busy right now, even though you have to follow up and it's tough times, but you just keep in front of these other people and you can still do some other work.
There you go. I guess you're having some tough times not being able to get on the ice and get your exercise in.
The skate zones have been shut down the last 3 weeks. And so a group of guys that I skate with, and it's called the Morning Hockey League. It's invite only. We've been there doing that for 25 years. And we always have 2 goalies, 5-on-5, full equipment. We go from 7 to 8:30 every Wednesday and Friday morning. So some of these guys might be getting a little overweight. So like they have to keep do some other things. But yeah, I love it. We have the guys that show up all the time. We 5-on-5, a couple subs. But it's good to be there. I know for me, after my stroke, 4.5 years, like I couldn't skate for a year and a half. But now, I get back at it. I just can't shoot that well because my right fingers don't work at my right side. But the goalies that I play against, I can still score against them too and do the Guffaw. Guffaw!
Very cool. Very cool. Jack,
So
what do you got for us?
We actually have a question about that.
Okay.
I'm wondering how you sort of worked that into your celebration after a goal and where that came from.
Yeah, so if they want to check my Brian Propp website, there's a whole story of how I got it from in the mid '80s with Howie Mandel. I was at a couple of his shows with Scott McKay, and we did the show, and so he he kind of copied the movement, and so like I got a chance to talk with him after, and then so I decided to copy him after I scored a goal. The Guffaw means a hearty laughter. And so it's excitement. And so like every time I used to score, like Tim Kerr, he just wouldn't say much. But I liked to score. And so like I wanted to do something a little different. So I did the Guffaw, like I went center ice and Guffaw. And I said it at the same time. And so like the first time I said it, Keenan was like, "What are you doing? Don't ever do that again." And I was like, "Oh, geez, here we go again." But I just kept it up, and so he didn't say anything after I started scoring. So maybe it's good that I scored as much as I did.
There you go. That'll help. That'll make things a little easier to be able to do what you want to do.
And then at that time, at the end of the year, Howie called me in the playoffs, and so like I got a chance to talk with him before the games. I thought the trainers were joking, but he was serious. And so like he said, "Hey, listen, don't worry about me copying the Guffaw. Like I have other things going on." And he's a Canadian, so like we're friends. And so like I just saw his show 6 months ago in Atlantic City. So like he has a couple different problems like with heart. And so like I had a chance to talk with him after the show about my stroke and my AFib and my heart things that are going on. So because he might do an ablation too, but it's just good to connect with him. But we're all lucky that we're alive and doing as well as we can. And with all the people dying now, it's tough to stay away from other people, but you have to at this time until it gets a little better. I know that a couple people that I know in Spain, they've been out of work and we have worked at home the last 3 weeks, but it's getting closer to get a little better in Spain. So it might take another 2 or 3 weeks for us to make sure that we're not affected, and then it could it'll flatten out a little bit, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, that's the goal. Sorry, Dad, you were going to jump Jack in on something.
Yeah, I wanted to see what Jack, here's his chance, one-on-one, no holds barred. It's open mic. What do you got? Question?
My biggest question is the cheap shot artist Chelios. What was his deal? I mean, everybody knows the cheap shot he took with the elbow in the playoffs, but what was his deal a few years later, even when you're playing for the Whalers and he went after you again?
Well, he's he liked to pick on the not the tough guys, but it wasn't, I didn't mind because after he hit me, like I was a little upset because like I was afraid after getting hit at the start, but thankfully the playoffs were over, and so I had time to heal because I played after the hit in the first round, and I actually scored a goal and I was going to assist the last game. But I think having the time to heal the brain a little better gave me a chance like to not to get hit a lot more. But I know at that time, like, you know, it was tough for me after the year after that to always kind of look around and when I get hit. But I made a point to not to think about it. I just had to play it the same way I did. And then I saw him at Brad McCormick's funeral about, 8 years ago. And so I just had a chance just to say, you know, how you doing? And but other than that, not too much.
Okay.
So Jack, I'm sorry, you have over 600, is it Brian Propp autographs? Is that what I understood correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it, but I mean, I have every card ever made up until this season. They're all signed. I don't even know how many jerseys and photos and sticks, and it's everywhere.
That is fascinating.
That's very amazing.
We do have a question. You get a lot of stuff, a lot of fan mail, a lot of autograph requests to you during the week?
No, I don't.
I know none of you guys do. This is specifically
wait, but that's our Mr. Hockey. Come on, don't diss him like that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So I still see, I get mail all the time. And now since I just redid my website, so a lot of people are asking for more autographs. And so, I mail them out like in the US. If it's global, then I tell them that they have to send an envelope with a return postage for global, because otherwise, it gets too expensive. Like it's $100, 10, 20 to just send a jersey or an autograph. And so it cost me 50 cents every time in the US, but that's just something I have to do. But so I get it all at Wolf. They kind of know where we're going, and I moved a couple times, so they're not sure where to go from now. But as long as they go to our Wolf website and address, and then they're starting to send it to Wolf, and then I get the mail from there, and then usually take some time and sign a bunch of cards, and just try to talk with people, and because I know it's been so nice because I'm the ambassador for Bancroft brain injury people too. I just started that a year ago. And so I hear from other people that have strokes, and so they're not afraid to call me. And I've been visiting at McGee and other places just to say hi and to give them encouragement and things like that. I know that our Bancroft Gala was postponed from April 11th to June 5th. And but we're going to do it at the Hilton. But hopefully that will still go ahead. And then because I have 10 people that I know that have strokes and brain injury, that I buy a ticket table for them. And so it's a great cause. And so I'm really happy with what Bancroft has been doing. And they just did a skate and video of me when I returned skating. It's not out yet, but it'll come soon. So they did a good job of that too, just with Bancroft.
Very cool.
Jack, I got a question for you. Who is the Flyers goalie that recently had a stroke? Was it Ken Reggett?
Jack, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I thought it was Gary Innes.
Is that who it was? I know. I meant to ask to talk to Bill about this last week, or was it Wednesday night we had him on. But there's a Flyers goaltender that recently had a stroke, and I kind of was just curious if Brian had heard anything about that. He played most of his career in Pittsburgh, but he was here for about a year and a half.
Was that Reggett or was that illness? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I got to get a hold of Bill Madison and talk to him about it. I know he did the Pittsburgh show out there, and he was rehabbing, like yourself. It's a struggle. But talk a little bit about, you know, how it's how you've come in the past 4 years or so, and you apparently have done, you know, marvelous with, you know, covering and your work at McGee. And what else do you do?
So like I've been with Wolf almost every day, been doing some things there for them, and then with the Flyers when they was at the game, I was at every home game and other events that they had throughout the year. And so like I was doing that, and then with Bancroft, you know, I was helping people with some speaking, meeting them, having events that they go to, and plus last a month ago, I just got on the big poster in 130 and 70 and 73, the big billboard for Bancroft. So that was a huge one. But so I can say that one thing off of my bucket list. You know, I was on the billboard, and I still am. So, but yeah, so like. You know, but for me, it's just me about giving back as much as I can, you know, with talking with people that have strokes. You know, I keep in touch with all of them. I tell people to have hope, and I give them some other things to look at. Like I've been using the Beamer machine, which helps the circulation in your whole body for 4 years, and I have more energy, and I don't get sick, and I feel great. And then I'm using another thing for the brain and for the socks, like it's a Vox Lights socks. Anybody can buy them anytime they want. Like it's like about $25 or $30 a pair, but it kind of helps reprogram your brain, how your brain can make a big difference with the socks and insights. So like I try other things that can make me a little bit better. And of course, I was for the NHL, they gave me the grant to go stem cell treatment in Colorado in 2017. So and I took the cells from my hip, and they separated the blood and then put the stem cells back in my body, and I knew that I did it. I made it immediately noticed a difference with my speech at that time, and you know, just by me going out all the time and doing other things, you know, I talk to different people. It helps me to talk a lot more, because these people that don't talk too much, you know, they get rusty, and I still have aphasia. So that means that the words don't come out the right way, but the guys that I play hockey with, like they get messed up anyway, so it doesn't even matter. You know, these guys. Oh, we should have to say, hey, we should tell it's Bernie Propp's 75th birthday party today. Yeah.
There you go.
Here, listening.
Yep.
But maybe he's out celebrating.
Hopefully.
Happy birthday to the Frenchie.
Yeah. Gina, she's awesome.
John,
Yes.
John O'Brien, I
Yes.
understand you have a question about jersey numbers.
Well, doing a little bit of research. Were you number 14 with the Flyers when you first came up?
Not from the first. I think that maybe in training, Kate, like I wore 14, but I never wore 26 after that. Like I think I wore number 14 in training car, just one game or something like that, and then I switched to 26. So, but I never wore it for the Flyers. Just 26 all the time.
Jack, do you happen to have that training camp jersey?
I wish I do not. No.
But I understand you recently picked up a pretty cool item.
I picked up a pair of Cooperalls about 2 months ago. It's actually the first pair I've ever seen. I bought them not knowing whose they were, and you know, turned them over, looked in the seam of the pant, and there's the number 26, clear as day, right inside of them. So,
oh wow,
no one else could have possibly worn them.
Lo and behold, that was like hitting the
What
lottery,
are the
right?
chances?
Oh,
But-
yeah.
And it's interesting. It had Fritz written inside also, and I don't know what the significance of that was.
What was it?
Fritz.
Fritz.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe a possible nickname because of the numerous haircuts you had back then.
Maybe not. Well, no, I always just proper or Rev. Brad McCrimmon used to call me Rev all the time. That was the only one that did. But that's because my dad was a minister. Yeah, so like other than that, it's been doing pretty. But I know that you have a lot of pucks too, don't you?
70, or we at 71 right now. Yeah, 71 different signed pucks
How many pucks do you have in total?
of Brian Propp.
No, just Flyers in general. Let's
I
You hear this number.
I have 493 different Flyers on pucks from the all-time roster.
Do you have any that are not
there?
Flyers?
What's that, Mario?
Do you have any that are not Flyers?
No, I
that's
wouldn't.
probably illegal.
That's against the law. You know,
Right.
we don't Flyers.
Do you have
just
any
making
idea
sure.
how many there should be? Like if you had every Flyers player ever, do you have any idea how many that would be?
660 or something like that. Yeah, 660. So
You're not too far off.
no, like I want to say I'm like 90% or so.
How many duplicates do you have?
So there's no duplicates.
None. Wow.
That's just the different players. I mean, that's not the total number of pucks. I mean, total number of pucks is probably close to 1,000. But that's just the Flyers pucks. It's 493 different players from the organization.
So I take it you're never moving ever out of that house.
Well, it was fun taking them off the wall this week. You know, off of work, I decided to redo the basement. So taking them off the wall was fun. Now getting them back up is going to be, that's going to probably take me another week.
Is there any rhyme or reason to when you put them back up? Do they go in like alphabetical order or like when they played order? How do you do that?
It's alphabetical order.
Okay.
It's the only way I can keep track of them. If not, I would never remember every single one of them.
Right.
Wow.
So do you leave spaces for the ones that you don't have?
No, don't. I had 2x2s that I screwed into the wall so I could just slide.
Oh,
Do it that way.
Do you have a log anywhere of what you have and what you don't have?
Sure.
Or is it
do.
all just up here?
No, I have it saved a couple different places on a couple different apps, and all the proper stuff's got its own spot. Up until this week, he had his an entire wall of the basement was just all proper items. So
cool.
Yeah, but now, so Jack, so I might have something that you don't. I started collecting the signed alumni golf balls. So I have about 40 of them. So like because you never know sure if somebody's going to die. A lot of them like they sign golf balls for me now.
yeah, I don't have any signed golf balls. I can say I don't have any of those. But
Nice.
next time I see you, I'll have to get one.
All right, I'll give you one.
So when Lauren and I go down the shore and play putt, I always get the orange ball, right, Lauren?
Yes, you do. I thought you were going to say you always win, and then I was really going to throw the red flag.
I wouldn't go there.
Right.
But I've been
That's for
known
the
to keep,
best.
I've been known to keep a lot of those orange balls.
Nice.
Yep.
I was going to say, I've never seen a miniature golf course that had orange ones, so I guess I must have been following you behind.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So there's one other thing that I have going right now, like, and this is just because like I think that we mentioned before that I was going to try to do the Guffaw cigars, but what I decided to do is that to stay out of trouble, I'm going to do a licensing agreement with Vivente Cigars, and I'm going to have my own logo and with them, but they're going to be from the Dominican Republic. But that's what I'm going to do. 425 boxes of 10 at the start, And then after I sell all of that, then maybe I'll do boxes of 20. But the Dominican Republic's been shut down right now, so it might take a little time to get them better. And but you know, on my website there's a link if anybody wants to order them, but it might take a little time. So, but if they want to check out the link, they can see what they're made out of. And but the licensing agreement will be finished this week, and then I'll be able to not worry about being a tobacco manufacturer. So like that's what I was worried about. And so I'm going to be a licensing through Vivente Cigars, and then and after everything gets passed, you know, with all the viruses and things like that. So maybe another month, you know, maybe we'll be able to kind of order the cigars.
Nice, that's sweet.
Well, Lauren, we'll be sure to get that website and all that information that Brian supplies us with. We'll get that all up on ours as well and share it with everyone.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously every Flyers fan loves Mr. Snyder. So do you have a favorite memory with him or an encounter with him?
Just thought he was so good to all of us. You know, I was really quiet. So like, you know, Bobby Clarke, I've known him for a lot of years, but I was very quiet, but I very respective of what he was. But about 3 years ago, like he did an event at the Union League where I was, and so he presented a picture with me and Don Selesky, and so that was very special for me to be part of that before he died. And but you know, he's so good with the people and the teams, and you know, it's changed a little bit now with Comcast, but you know, it's a big company, but I loved all the things that he did, and for me, after my stroke, he helped me financially just at the start where I really needed it, because you know, I wasn't working, and so he made a big difference for me, and I love him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I don't think I've ever heard any negative story about Mr. Snyder.
Well, he's so good with Snyder hockey. You know, he started that. Now all the teams are playing at the class of 23 rink, where like we raised $7 million to renovate the new rink, class of 23, and our Flyers alumni has promised $2 million, and we have about $1 million already that we have, and so we're going to keep working on that to help them with their program. So it's all good for charities, and you know, I love you know, working for the Flyers at every home game, and I get to talk with them. I've been here like 41 years. I know companies and people there, and so like when I stop after I'm done my visits in the first period, I usually stop in the second and third period, and they tell me where to take pictures with them, and then I text, take pictures, and take it back to them.
Very cool.
Nice.
Brian, growing up as a Canadian, how was it going through juniors? Like, what's the lifestyle like? Like, it's us Americans, you know, you guys are away when you're what, 10, 12 years old?
Oh yeah. Well, I was 16 when I left for Brandon. I was 17 and then 18, so I was there for 3 years, and so we lived with another family every year. And so like I lived with first year with a teacher, and then 2 years with some people in Brandon. I still keep in contact with them all the time. So, but it's special. But at that time, you know, it's different because you were known, but you know, we just that year was a 20-year-old draft, so the guys were a little older, and so when it changed and when the NHL merged, so now it changed to an 18-year-old draft, and so a lot of the junior players started a little younger. But it was actually good for me because I made me mature a little bit more. You know, it was really quiet, but we had great teams in Brandon. You know, the first year we only lost 12 games. My second year we only lost 8 games, and my last year we only lost 5 games of the season of 72 players games. So that's pretty amazing. And that's I can't believe how good we were. But we always had good players like Brad McCrimmon, Ray Allison. I talk with him all the time. He lives in Cherry Hill, and he just moved to Myrtle Beach. But he'll retire in a couple of months. But I get to talk with him all the time. And of course, Dave Semenka, Glenn Hanlon. We had a bunch of these guys that were playing, Laurie Boschman, Bill Derlego. These are guys that you probably know. And, it's that year in the NHL, 10 guys were drafted in the first 12 the rooms that they have. So 10 of our guys in Brandon were drafted that year.
Wow.
Very cool. Very cool. Lauren, anything else?
Brian, do you have a favorite Flyer moment of that sort of tops all of them?
Yeah. So for me, of course, it was always in the playoffs, because I was in the playoffs my first 13 years in the league. I was in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1980 and then 85 and 87. And that was in 90 and 91 with Boston and Minnesota. But I remember the Spectrum Game 6 was the loudest that it was heard, because we were losing 2-1. I scored with 6 minutes left to tie the game at 2-2. And it was pretty amazing. And at that time, I think there was a concert in Genesis concert at the Vet. And I think they heard us after that. And then JJ scored 3 minutes later. So it just kept going. And then so thankfully Hexie stopped the puck the 15 seconds before. Otherwise we would have tied. But we forced the game 7 against Edmonton. That was powerful. So for me, it was being in that point when I love to score and be a part of everything that the Flyers are part of it.
Absolutely. Was there a player that you played against that you were really maybe the coolest player that you played against, or maybe one that you were starstruck against?
Well, in 1987, after the finals against the Oilers, I played in the Canada Cup for Team Canada in 87. I played with Gretzky and Lemieux on the line. Wow. And but that year, Canada, Russia, it was different because at that time they played for the Olympics and they couldn't get drafted until 1990. So a lot of them had to defect when they did. So the hockey was unbelievable at that time. Our team was awesome, and Team Canada with Keenan and Bob Clarke were the GM, and we had Tocchet, Hextall, Crossman, and myself, with the Flyers, and what a series it was. A 3-game series. Every game was 6-5. And we had to we lost the first game 6-5. We won in overtime game 2 6-5, and then we came back from 3-0, a lot like the Flyers did against Boston in the game 7 a couple of years ago. And then we won in game at 6-5. But so to play against Gretzky and Lemieux was special, but at that time, I was the oldest player on the team, and so I played the World Championships in 82 and 83. So I knew how to play against better teams in World Championships and Team Canada and juniors, and then the Spangler Cup was in 92. But for me, being from Canada, and playing for Team Canada was special to me. You know, the Flyers finals was special to me too. But you know, to playing for your country, it makes a big difference. And you know, and then I did the radio for 9 years for the Flyers, every home game. You know, I've been the ambassador for the Flyers the last 4 years, and I'm on the board for the Flyers alumni now too. So I do a lot for the Flyers and their golf and their events and dinners and everything. So I love being here in Philadelphia, and hopefully I'll be here the rest of my life.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Mario, anything? What are you drinking in that mug?
No, that's
tea.
Yingling.
Yeah, well, this was
Oh.
Yingling.
Oh, that's the cool Phillies can.
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they were out.
They're
Yeah.
out.
How about that, huh?
Yep.
Season
What's
hasn't
in the
started
mug?
yet, but the beer's out.
So what's in the mug?
Tea.
Oh.
So I switched. Sorry, I got limoncello waiting for me downstairs in the freezer.
Oh, good.
Wow. So you went Yingling, tea, limoncello. You're gonna
I'm
be.
staggering.
It's gonna be an early night for you.
No, it's not.
All right.
So jumping back to some questions, Brian, we have somebody asking if you enjoyed your time in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, I started in 1990 because after I retired, I was at the Medford Ice Rink for 3 years running the whole operation. And so I was there for 3 years. And then that year, Ron Ryan, he kind of talked to me about maybe doing the radio halfway through the year. And I was like, what? I'm not ready for that. Like, how do I do that? I mean, I don't talk that much, and how do I do that? But thankfully, he agreed that that I'd learned. I was really bad the first year or two, but then after I caught on, it was okay. Tim Saunders is a great partner, and also for having Gene Hart and Bill Clement help me. They've made a big difference for me by helping them with. I listened to every broadcast and played it back, and then you figure out by yourself how you get better. And did a lot of work and homework and things like that. So I was always prepared for everything. But it's tough at the start because you had to be quick and just talk and get to the point across, and then let Tim Saunders kind of go from there. But I loved it. It was 9 years I did that every game, didn't miss a game, and I loved being part with the Flyers because then we traveled with the team, and I got to know them a little better, and all the other teams in the league. Like I still do a lot of work with the Devils alumni, the Rangers alumni, the Islanders alumni, the Pittsburgh and Washington. So knowing all those guys that are in this area, it just makes a difference for me because I know all of them, and we do a lot of things together, like golf tournaments, hockey events, and other events that we have. And then, with Canada, me growing up in Canada and Saskatchewan, I've been doing some speaking in there in Toronto, and so just really is nice for me to get out whenever, as much as I have, and still be able to enjoy what I do, what I love.
Very cool. Very cool. Jack, let's go back to your collection, because apparently there's people willing to pay big money to come, and once everything is set up, and I can broker this deal. We can both make money here.
Sounds good to me.
And we can donate it to charity.
That works for me too. Nothing wrong with making charity.
I think somebody actually asked if that was the prize tonight. Was it good to go to your house, Jack?
When it's finished, I don't have a problem with it. I'd have to check with my wife, as probably most of us would, but I don't think she'd have a problem with it.
Do I have to check with your wife, or?
We're probably okay. I think we're good. Yeah. She can be bought.
Jack, what is your most coveted Brian Propp autograph or piece of memorabilia that you have?
That's a good question. My favorite is probably a stick that Brian gave to me personally from I believe it's from the 86-87 team, which is one of my favorite teams. I mean, I also have jerseys from that he wore in 1987-88. I have I don't even know where to begin. It'd probably be between those two, but probably the stick that Brian gave me personally.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Brian, if you had to mention someone, who was the easiest goalie to score against, and then of course who was the hardest?
Probably Grand Fuhrer, because I scored against him a lot, but he was challenged the shooters pretty bad. All the goalies are easy to score against for me. I scored most of them, almost all of them. I even scored in Tretiak in World Championships.
Why do you think you had so much success against Calgary? I mean, you had 10 career hat tricks, 3 of them were against the Flames.
Well, I always loved every time I played in Canada. My family was there. They drive to Calgary, which is an 8-hour drive, and then I was in Winnipeg for that was a little closer. It was only like a 4-hour drive, but Calgary and Edmonton. So like I used to drive there, and it was always special for my family to be there. Like I remember in '87 we had a lot of people from my town in Saskatchewan, Neudorf, went to the final game, and then they supported me that way. But having my family there, that's why I kind of got psyched up, playing against like in Saskatchewan and Alberta. I mean, in Toronto, it was too tough to go away, and Quebec was okay, and but having my family there meant a lot of difference because I wanted to score and do well when they were there.
What was it? What was the building called in Calgary? The Cow Palace? What was it called?
Corral.
Corral.
Yeah.
Corral. I heard it was a dump. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, it was better than the Buffalo rink that I hated, the odd. But Calgary, like they had tall boards, and so you had to jump and kind of get out of the way, and then they had 2 levels, and so like you had to kind of get, it wasn't that much room, so but you have to watch you didn't break your ankle when you jumped into the new rink, into the new boards.
Wow. So what was probably of all the places that you played, give us the worst case scenario and the best?
Oh yeah, well I love Montreal. Montreal was so great because like they always had good food and good entertainment during the nights, and but also the history was so great in Montreal. Seeing them with their 24 Stanley Cup banners and the history of around Montreal. It was special, to play against them. All the best players in the world were there in Montreal. So I always got ready for that. And then my second favorite was Chicago. I love Chicago. Kind of like their atmosphere was unbelievable. The first time I played they scored in Chicago. Like I jumped out of my seat because it was so loud. Like now it's like normal for like the Flyers. They have big cereals and things like that. But at that time it was, and then there they always had good bands. Like they had National Athena singers were there. So, but yeah, I love playing against Chicago because you want to stock them down, and then it was always good for me.
How about Madison Square Garden? What do you remember most there?
Yeah, I love that too because like it's the same as it's like the atmosphere was so great, and we played against the Flyers against New York, and so a lot, and so it was just we loved playing against each other, and but the atmosphere was always great. I'm glad that the Rangers sucked at that time, so I was able to do pretty well.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
You got a Rangers fan on. I was hoping you'd throw a little.
I knew that's where you got that from.
Huh?
I knew that's where you got that from.
That's where I was going. And their fans suck too. So.
Well, isn't it too bad that the Flyers are just doing so well, and going into the playoffs, and hopefully they can still, have a part of a season or something. I don't know what do you guys think is going to happen at this time?
That's a good question. I mean,
that's a very good question.
I mean, you've seen the pictures with Bernie with the steam or the fog coming up. I mean, you can't go too much longer into the summertime with hockey, can you?
I don't know, maybe, because I know that in the Canada Cup, we started in September or October, and then went through the summer for that. But maybe they'll do that a little different, because maybe it's June or July. Maybe they'll have a little series. But the Flyers were doing so well. I mean, they had good lines, good coaching, the two goalies. I mean, it makes a big difference. Hart, at home was awesome, and Elliott was good, and the young defense are awesome, and they're tough to play against. And you have key players that know how to win. But I really like Hayes, because he added a lot to the team. I think he can be more outspoken now, because he's been here for a little longer. But he does a good job with that. But I really love Hart. I mean, he's so good with the press, and good player, 21, and hopefully we can win a Stanley Cup soon.
Very cool. Very cool. John, you got anything? Any parting comments?
Just talk about that. As a player, how would you feel in a situation like this with having as long of a delay? Like, how would that affect you personally, and then also like goalies, or what would be the hardest to adjust back to when you have to?
Well, at that time, even if they get started, I mean, they're all ready. They're in good shape now. So that they're worried about. You don't have to worry about that. But now it's just the placement of the teams you're going to play against, and then you can go from there. But I know that when we lost Pelle Lindbergh, in '85, he was so good and was the top of his game. And if he didn't die in the car crash, it could have helped us win a couple of Stanley Cups at that time. But that didn't happen. And so Hart is doing really well, and he's the future of the club right now. And I love the way he handles himself, especially the charities that he has, and giving back, and so good with the press. I mean, that's pretty amazing when he's at 21.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Mario, anything?
No, I was just thinking the same thing. I'm wondering how well will the Flyers play with this break if they do come back. What's that going to do to their momentum that they had, their train of thought? I'm concerned about that. Could it be that they be more injury prone? And that could go for anybody in the league too, because they're all susceptible to this. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be very quick. I'm just hoping that we come out on top.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's tough to tell, because I know, like as I mentioned before, at Spain, like they're getting close to the end because of all the things that they've got. We have a month in April that we have to be at home for the next a month, and then hopefully that gets calmer after that, and then you have to go from there. But it's not gonna it's not gonna the same every now. You know, people maybe like Howie Mandel, he does the bump, or instead of the elbow or something like that, rather than shaking hands. You know, so like it's hard to tell, but life goes on. You know, we just have to make sure that we're thankful to be for God for being here, and for all the people that are dying, and all the helpers in the hospitals, giving care. It just makes a big difference. We're very fortunate, you know, that I know that all of us are going to probably be affected some way or another by the people that are dying now. And, you know, I know a couple of people already that have passed away. And so, you know, just have to be careful. And we're just like we're doing here, a video from home, showing some pictures and other things. That might be the way it'll be in the future.
Jack, any closing thoughts, questions, comments?
Just one closing question, and it's, who at the Hockey Hall of Fame do we have to finally talk sense into? Final.
Well, it's up to I think there's a team of people that are on the committee, and you know, so like, you know, when I read the explanation of what it takes to be a Hall of Famer, you know, I think that I've done a good job of you know, giving back to charities, and by my play in the 80s, and you know, the playoffs, especially when it counts, and you know, Team Canada's and things like that. So I'm just hopeful that you know in some time you know, that you know, it can happen.
Long over. Should have happened 15 years ago.
Jack, we need to get up there and get in Lanny McDonald's ear. I guess he's the guy running it, right? So we gotta get in his ear.
Yep, definitely. Long overdue.
Much.
Sure.
Lauren, any closing thoughts?
I just would like to know if Brian likes Gritty.
Oh yeah, he's great. Actually, he might go to my wedding if he has time. So like I'm engaged. In last Thanksgiving, I was engaged to Eileen McKay in London, and we have a wedding planned September 25th at the Reeds at Stone Harbor. So you know, I'm you know, hopefully that will continue, and we will get married there. And but other than that, you know, just play it a month at a time.
There you go.
Yep.
Very
Well,
good.
You have the inside shot. Then just have Gritty keep October 3rd. Is it the?
No, it's September 25th.
No. Well, we need October 3rd set aside as well.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we're supposed to be doing the Fanatic, but that's up in the air. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah,
Oh.
6 months from today, October 3rd, my fiance and I, we are getting married at the Baseball Hall of Fame. So.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We get Gritty to cross sports.
Yes. That's fine. I'll take Gritty. I like Gritty better than the Fanatic anyway.
Oh, wow.
I'll let the record show that. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You know.
So Gritty and the Parrot, is that a good
Well, especially because no one knows what's happening with the Fanatic, so that's for the best anyway.
oh boy.
Ooh.
Well,
God.
hey, great show, guys.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody, you know, that hopped on board tonight. It's got to be the fastest hour of the week, and now it's 2 hours because we do 2 shows a week now. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all you guys and Lauren. We're giving away a package of 3 autographed pucks of Brian Propp, which we will make an announcement tomorrow. We will pick someone from the list, and we'll get those mailed out within a day or two. Jack, you are not eligible, so even if there's a good one there,
He already has them.
I know.
It's the Jack Bruder starter kit.
Yeah, right?
Yep. I like
There's
that.
enough of them wannabes out there. Brian Propp, thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on board. Good luck with everything. We're here for you. If you need something for your foundations, reach out to us. We loved having you, and be safe to you and your family. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks. And also, just so you know, like Bancroft's website's at bancroft.org. So, like, if people want to check that out for the at Bancroft in New Jersey.
Very good. Lauren's going to get them posted up on our website as well. And anybody else? All good?
We're
All good.
Yep, everybody.
All right, thank
Rest
you.
of your Friday night. Be safe and hang in there.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you, Jack.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
No problem.